According to a National Geographic survey, a staggering 77% of all Americans believe there are unmistakable signs that aliens have visited Earth. A palpable consensus emerges that our governments have shrouded the truth behind extraterrestrials in secrecy. For many, the tantalizing prospect of disclosure feels imminent, or perhaps the UFO phenomenon is merely a fabrication of the human mind, an elaborate illusion we've created in the depths of our imaginations. Yet, the mounting evidence suggests that our governments are indeed privy to more information than they are willing to disclose. In recent years, a growing chorus of credible scientists and investigative researchers has risen, fervently lobbying for the truth to be unveiled, igniting curiosity and skepticism in equal measure. Among these fervent advocates stands Stanton Friedman, a distinguished nuclear physicist whose illustrious career spans giants like GM, GE, Westinghouse, Aerojet General Nucleonics, and McDonnell Douglas Aircraft. With over 90 published UFO papers to his name, Friedman has become a familiar face in countless documentaries and has graced hundreds of radio and TV programs, including the iconic Larry King Live. He believes that what is truly needed is a fearless duo, akin to Woodward and Bernstein, to uncover the hidden truths of the cosmic Watergate, to lift the heavy veil obscuring what lies beyond our understanding. The data is there, teeming with implications, as General Belander emphatically states. Unveil the NSA and CIA documents. How can anyone deny the reality that is laid before us? Chase Case Kuas. Mars, the author of Alien Agendae, reigns as the top-selling non-fiction UFO book in the world, captivating audiences with his revelations. Since 2000, Mars has also taken to the lecture halls of the University of Texas at Arlington to enlighten your minds about the mysteries of UFO phenomena. His insights have been sought after by ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, C-SPAN, and even the Discovery Learning and History channels. In today's digital age, a simple Google search for UFOs reveals a plethora of images, artifacts of reality that challenge the very fabric of what we understand. You cannot photograph a mere hallucination or psychosis, which begs the undeniable conclusion they are real. Thus, the pressing question lingers in the air: what is the alien agenda? Meanwhile, Stephen Bassett stands at the forefront of a relentless crusade to dismantle the 68-year government-imposed truth embargo surrounding extraterrestrial life. As the executive of Paradigm Research Group, Bassett masterminds initiatives such as the X Conference, the Citizen Hearing on Disclosure, and the Congressional Hearing Initiative. He passionately believes we are teetering on the brink of a monumental renaissance, one that could ignite a seismic shift in both science and political reform. Yet, all of this hangs in the balance, thwarted by the glaring fact that governments around the globe still refuse to acknowledge the existence of extraterrestrial being. Kathleen Marden is a luminary in the realm of alien abduction and extraterrestrial contact research, celebrated worldwide for her groundbreaking work as an author and lecturer. Renowned as the foremost expert on the infamous Betty and Barney Hill abduction case, she has rightfully earned the prestigious title of MUFON's 2012 Ufologist of the Year. Marden's rigorous research, coupled with a meticulous scientific evaluation of the evidence, has led her to a profound conviction. The Hill case is undeniably real, and it has been systematically concealed by the government, as well as a small faction of debunkers intent on portraying Betty and Barney as mere cooks, an unseemly narrative aimed at undermining the truth that demands to be acknowledged. Ron James, a prolific filmmaker and writer, has made significant waves in the world of extraterrestrial cinema. The author of the compelling book Messiah Awakenings, he has garnered numerous accolades, including the prestigious EB Award for ET-related films, not once but 4 times. There are myriad races scattered throughout the universe, he asserts, an echo of awe in his voice. Many are so far advanced that their technologies might be beyond our comprehension, capabilities we can scarcely fathom, and our role in this cosmic tableau that remains an enigma. Patty Greer stands as one of today's most dedicated crop circle researcher filmmakers, having brought to life 6 documentary films that have earned commendations and accolades. Her compelling data intricately weaves together threads of metaphysics, extraterrestrial technologies, and science, culminating in a crystal-clear understanding of this astonishing phenomenon. "This is the most important story never told," she proclaims, her voice charged with urgency. "The reality of this is palpable on our planet, yet a plethora of individuals are being handsomely compensated to bury the truth. Paradigm shifts are at play, and the current flow of money is aimed squarely at ensuring this information remains hidden. The reasons for government reluctance to disclose their findings are abundant. If they've uncovered any technological advancements, why would the USA unveil that knowledge while Russia and China remain silent on their own discoveries? If you're hoping for a government official to host a grand press conference and announce, "Okay, we must reveal the truth about UFOs," you're in for a long wait. Any official who dares to admit this would also be confessing to decades of lies, 70 or 80 years of deception that has chained their credibility. "We must reveal the truth to the people of the world. That's disclosure," she insists, her voice rising with conviction. "Once that moment arrives, I foresee a year or two of intense engagement with this issue, igniting discussions among everyone across the globe. And after that simmering phase of awareness, I firmly believe the planet will be collectively prepared, not just for disclosure, but for open contact." I sense that open contact is on the horizon. Her gaze intensifies as she continues. "This year we as Earthlings will squander a staggering $1 trillion on military endeavors. $1 trillion? Thousands of children, innocent and vulnerable, perish every single day due to irreparable disease and starvation. How can we justify this disparity? Nationalism is the only game in town," she asserts, her tone heavy with resignation. "There's simply too much to lose. Too much water under the bridge. I am deeply involved in the political side of the disclosure process, and I firmly believe it serves a very, very important purpose. To keep the pressure, and when you embark on this work with clarity, you will inevitably bring forth a wealth of truth to the public," she continues passionately. "The races of the grays, which is my area of specialization, are conveying to individuals that immediate disclosure is unlikely. In fact, I believe we are currently in the midst of a conditioning process, one that permeates our culture through movies, television, news reports, sightings, abductions, and crop circles. It's omnipresent, and increasingly, more people are awakening to the reality that this is a grave issue we can no longer ignore. There is a program in the works, designed to facilitate communication between us and them," she reveals, her eyes gleaming with a mix of hope and determination. "I believe there's a purposeful plan at play. A plan that has unfolded in the past, with their assistance driving this process. What they seek is self-disclosure, and open contact is but a step away. What I believe is unfolding at this very moment is a convergence of political pressure intermingling with various other forces and media influences, all contributing to an environment where knowledge is being disseminated more freely than ever before," she explains, her urgency palpable. "However, this may lead to chaos on a grand scale, a profound discombobulation for the world. It's possible that they may ultimately lose their patience with us. If we prolong this facade long enough, we may be cornered into a force majeure disclosure event, where world governments are compelled to announce to their citizens the undeniable presence of extraterrestrials and provide crucial information. Alternatively, the extraterrestrials themselves might impose their reality upon humanity, leaving governments powerless to intervene. I know of no government on this planet that desires its citizens to owe their primary allegiance to the planet itself, rather than to the individual government," she emphasizes, a shadow of concern darkening her expression. "Consequently, I'm not anticipating full disclosure. In fact, I don't want to see it. What I yearn for is a statement from the government acknowledging, yes, we are under visitation. I long for them to hold international conferences aimed at addressing the psychological, religious, technological, and myriad other aspects of this reality. Understand this full disclosure will only emerge from them, and the implications of that are far-reaching," she stresses, a sense of impending urgency in her voice. "Think about it. All they have to do is hover over a city long enough for news crews to scramble out and capture footage, and then the game is up," she asserts, her tone dripping with somber realization. "Over time, we will evolve to a point where meaningful communication can be established. But according to the reports I've received, That moment lies further in the future. Remember, truth in times of universal deceit is a revolutionary act. Here's the situation as we comprehend it. There's an extraterrestrial presence among us. It has likely been engaging with humanity for a very long time. When you reflect on the vast scale of the universe, billions of years old, and consider that Earth itself is approximately 4 billion years old, it's hard to fathom that we, with a recorded history of just around 40 years, are the sole origin of intelligent life on this planet. There's an abundance of evidence on this planet suggesting that very advanced civilizations have risen and fallen through the ages, she states, her conviction palpable. One only needs to observe these extraordinary sights and realize they seem far too magnificent for us to have constructed with the primitive tools and technology available at the time. So, what was the other element that empowered us to create such wonders, if not some form of intervention? UFOs are real. They are not mere figments of fiction or imagination. I believe that is beyond dispute today, she declares, her eyes narrowing with passion. When I was a child, skeptics claimed, "Oh, they're just hallucinations or some kind of mass psychosis." But now, all you need to do is Google UFOs and scan through the images. You cannot photograph a hallucination that is an undeniable fact. It's not a theory or a mere speculation. Just because the government insists, no, it's not, doesn't alter that reality. Moreover, anyone who places their trust in the government these days is foolhardy, she asserts, her voice laced with bitterness. The government has known about this extraterrestrial presence. That's an absolute fact. They are deeply concerned about the malevolence of certain human groups, fearing that we might intervene in our own evolution at this critical juncture. They worry we could descend into self-destruction, and rightfully so. I believe they are here for their own purposes, one of which may very well be to quarantine us. If you were an alien, would you really want us roaming free out there this year? The military budget is set at a staggering $1 trillion. Consider this: during World War II, we exterminated 50 million people and razed 1,700 cities to the ground, she reflects, her voice heavy with the weight of history. I believe the alien agenda is to observe us and subtly assist in advance in human evolution, nudging us up the evolutionary ladder, so that we can hurry to become part of the intergalactic community, instead of annihilating ourselves with thermonuclear weapons. The Andromedans are just one among 139 planetary systems that form the interstellar alliance. We have been, and continue to be, the watchdogs of the universe for nearly 2 million years. On the other hand, let's not delude ourselves into thinking we're their equals, she counters, her expression resolute. I don't converse with the squirrels in my backyard. I might simply shoo them away now and then. So we are certainly not equals. People often wonder, why don't they land on the White House lawn? The reality is that the President of the United States does not represent all 7 billion Earthlings. That much is abundantly clear. The universe, after all, is at least 13 or 14 billion years old. We're just a young star in comparison. There were stars like ours and planets like ours billions of years before our sun even existed. So if life can thrive on Goldilocks planets, and it undoubtedly does, then life has been flourishing in this universe for eons before our own existence. Therefore, the notion that extraterrestrial civilizations have been engaging with other planets and exploring the galaxy is not only plausible, it makes complete sense. Thus, it's entirely plausible that extraterrestrial engagement has been occurring for much longer, possibly even before this planet had a biosphere, she posits, her voice thick with concern. I believe they don't want us to destroy ourselves because, in doing so, we'd also obliterate this beautiful planet that they utilize as well. Consider this: there are 2,000 nuclear warheads scattered across our world, and thank goodness only 2 have ever been unleashed upon people. However, there appears to be a wealth of circumstantial evidence suggesting they have been observing us for thousands of years, and it seems they have intensified their efforts. I cannot say for certain if they have acted this way in our past history, but there is a notable escalation in their program following the detonation of atomic bombs. Are you suggesting they are deeply concerned about our behavior? She inquires, her brow furrowed in thought. We've entered the cosmic community of planets that have unearthed the major source of energy in the universe. Nuclear fusion. All stars harness their energy this way. This realization is groundbreaking. A century ago, We were unaware of this crucial truth. It opens the possibility that fusion could empower us to explore out there. I think it's entirely reasonable for aliens to worry about the reckless individuals on this planet attempting to export their version of friendship to the stars, she continues, her voice laced with bitterness. By everyone else's definition, that's hostility, so I don't expect them to approach us with a friendly demeanor, saying, "We're the good guys. Can we sit down and have a chat?" I doubt that will ever happen. The real question is whether the truth about flying saucers has been systematically concealed, she states, her voice carrying a blend of frustration and urgency. If you examine the 156 NSA UFO documents, you'll find one solitary sentence per page. That's a cover-up. Plain and simple, I possess a handful of CIA top-secret UFO documents, and they're virtually all blacked out, apart from a few words visible on each page. That's a textbook example of a cover-up. It's no longer merely about UFOs. It hasn't been for a considerable time, she asserts emphatically. That term has become an outdated, almost nonsensical acronym, a product of government-sponsored propaganda that simply doesn't capture the reality. We need to focus on extraterrestrials, extraterrestrial craft, and the ongoing engagement between us and them. I seriously doubt our government is equipped to negotiate policy with any of these species, she reflects, shaking her head. If there has been any form of interaction, I'm almost certain it hasn't resembled a negotiation at all. It's more like, this is how it is, and you're just going to have to deal with it. We possess facts that were clearly articulated by Air Force General Carol Belander, who was confronted with the question of what to do about Project Blue Book after the University of Colorado recommended its closure, the only UFO group with which the government was supposedly involved. In a memo that precipitated the demise of Project Blue Book, he stated that reports of UFOs that could impact national security were not included in the Blue Book system. That is an astounding admission just 2 paragraphs later, he remarked. If we close Blue Book, the public won't have a place to report UFO sightings. However, as previously mentioned, reports which could impact national security will continue to be investigated using the appropriate procedures. It was a decade after he penned that memo when I finally tracked down General Belander. That was when I first uncovered this critical information during our conversation. I suggested it seemed like he was referring to 2 separate communication channels. The important ones, the government-related cases. She elaborates. I presented an example, like a saucer landing on the runway of a SAC base where nuclear weapons are stored. By definition, that's a national security issue. Conversely, if my wife and I were simply standing at the end of our driveway and observed a saucer gliding overhead, it wouldn't be considered a big deal at all. He agreed with my assessment. 2 distinct channels, primarily those that could impact national security, she continues, her tone punctuated by urgency. Overall, there exists a consensus exceeding 50% at this time for this information to be unveiled. Yet the military-industrial complex isn't a democracy. It doesn't operate by popular vote. The decision-making here is far more intricate. We must acknowledge that the only entities equipped with all the sophisticated technology, I don't have my own radar system, for heaven's sake, are government agencies. They have radar systems, gun cameras, and a variety of other instrumentation aboard aircraft and spy satellites, all of this classified from the outset. So, this isn't merely a conspiracy theory, it's the stark reality we face. Beyond that lies a vast sea of assertions, speculations, and theories, each with its own degree of probability, she emphasizes, her voice rising with conviction. We need to organize and study this information, yet governments claim there's nothing worthy of study. Take Roswell, for instance. There was a grand narrative spun, crash test dummies and tales about bodies. They claimed we were dropping crash test dummies all over the place, yet there are 2 glaring problems with that story. None of those dummies were even dropped until 6 years after the Roswell incident, and they were designed to mirror the size and weight of pilots. By definition, they were intended for testing ejection seats, standing 6 feet tall and weighing 175 pounds. These dummies were crafted from wood and outfitted with gear and clothing, all meticulously designed to influence drag and heating during high speed, high-altitude drops from aircraft. So, they got away with it? It was convincing enough for the New York Times. They bought into the narrative, she laments, her tone laden with frustration. The real issue lies in the press's failure to fulfill its duty. It's a cosmic Watergate. It resembles Alice's Tea Party. Spinning wildly without logic, any interstellar race could obliterate this planet with minimal effort. In their eyes, we are akin to kindergarten children when it comes to our so-called ability to, quote, fight. But what if there's so much more to the picture she poses, her eyes narrowing with intensity? What if there exists a multitude of different alien races, each with its own distinct agendas? And what if we truly have no control over the outcome that awaits us? We know hostile entities could very well be lurking out there, harboring malevolent intentions towards us, not necessarily aimed at our planet, but perhaps seeking our world for their own insatiable needs. Independent films have long harnessed the public's fascination with the UFO phenomenon, she observes, her excitement palpable. Richard Lowry's latest film draws on actual case studies and depicts a foreboding alien invasion. His earlier work, Ed to Destination, Mars, IK, presents a parody of the 1950s flying saucer flicks, yet subversively conveys a chilling message. Mankind's relentless quest for destructive weaponry could spell our own annihilation at the hands of an alien race. The final speech from the alien leader delivers this grim warning with haunting clarity. I have studied the Earthlings for countless eons, from their pre-evolutionary stages to this, their final hour. The alien leader's voice resonates, echoing a dark prophecy. It is this vast accumulation of knowledge that has allowed all other planetary civilizations to forge the tools necessary for cultivating indomitable minds built on thought and reason, rather than brutish impulse. It was only a matter of time before they stumbled upon an atmospheric vaporizer, unaware of the profound power they wielded to manipulate their own world, from floods and fires to earthquakes and solar eclipses. The elderly subject featured in Lowry's documentary, Die the Wicksboro Incident, delivers a dire warning. Aliens have been coexisting with us for decades. In a small Texas town, he and his comrades constructed a device capable of identifying who was human and who was not, only for that town to be mysteriously erased from existence. Documentarians bravely travel to Texas, uncovering the man's hidden underground workstation, but soon find themselves in a perilous chase by men in black. The tension mounts, culminating in the chilling on-screen assassination of the subject by a sniper, a haunting reminder of the stakes involved. The number one thing that could safeguard us from, let's say, the outlier, the rogue, is an alliance with those entities and civilizations that harbor no intentions of allowing such chaos to unfold. Perhaps that is the very reason this process is taking place right now. What protects a smaller country in our world from being invaded by more powerful nations? It's the alliances formed between that smaller nation and stronger allies that deter aggression. I believe they're here, hidden among us. They're scouts, gathering intelligence. I don't think they will invade America or the world just yet. They're in the reconnaissance phase, but one day, when they finally do descend upon us in droves, millions strong, they will claim dominion. Whatever their reasons for coming here, it's crucial to understand that we have no intention or interest in preserving your existence. So, mark my words, I'm dead either way, right? Correct? No one will be spared. Why the Earth's position in the solar system offers a strategic and tactical advantage, Robert. The human role in the universe is inconsequential. That may be true, but we possess a fundamental right to exist only if we permit it, and we don't. There exists a mythos suggesting a reptilian species has played a crucial role in our genetic engineering, and that notion isn't easily dismissed. If a genuine threat were to emerge from another star system and we lacked protection from these other entities, we would be utterly screwed, she states, her voice thick with urgency. In the early days, the government intentionally released disinformation to steer the public away from confronting these issues. The message was clear, and perhaps it's true, but if everyone acknowledges it, chaos will ensue, so just don't bother engaging with it. The implications are far too dangerous. It's all bullshit, she snaps, her voice laden with frustration. It's nothing but propaganda. We could have managed the ET announcement back in 1947. We had just emerged from a world war that claimed 40 million lives. Millions of men were stationed overseas, and we exhibited unimaginable sacrifice. So, are we really going to fall apart just because we discover extraterrestrials exist in 1947? I don't think so. There are plenty of divergent opinions on why the government refuses to disclose this information, she continues, her brow furrowing in contemplation. But a few reasons resonate with me, even if they remain just my personal opinion. First, while we claim to be ready as a society, I genuinely don't believe we are. The truth itself doesn't instigate panic. It's lies and fabrications that provoke hysteria. This argument serves as yet another red herring, distracting people from confronting the crucial realities of this issue. When Orson Welles aired his War of the Worlds radio show, it ignited a wildfire of chaos and fear among the public. She recalls, her voice heavy with the weight of history. It's been theorized that this incident is one reason the government decided it was better not to disclose such information. They feared it could provoke widespread panic, leading to an entire societal meltdown. We could have conducted a scripted radio show, providing a clear statement. No, this is just a script, right? But tragically, we didn't take those precautions, and not many people caught wind of the clarification. Moreover, there was a major virus outbreak in California, resulting in hundreds of thousands falling ill, triggering another wave of mass panic. Does that mean the American people can't handle the notion of a pandemic flu? Absolutely not. That was merely a radio show that people mistakenly believed was real when it wasn't. In essence, it wasn't the truth. It was a fabrication. But what, I don't think anyone would panic now. Believe it or not. Yes, they may have panicked back then, but they've become accustomed to the UFO phenomenon, if you will. And if they landed on this planet today, attempting to befriend us, you know what I mean. I honestly believe that's probably what would transpire. I don't think anyone would panic at all. The Phoenix Lights, the Stephenville flyover, all of this is conditioning, she asserts, her tone grave. It's akin to the approach we took with a Stone Age tribe discovered in the Amazon basin. Instead of rushing in with clothes, Bibles, and promises of, hey, vote for me, they cordoned off the area, effectively quarantining it. Not to confine the tribe, but to keep the outside world at bay. Then a team of anthropologists gradually allowed themselves to be seen, she continues, her voice dropping to an intimate whisper. They appeared first on the hillside, then across the clearing, slowly acclimating the tribe to the notion that they were there and meant no harm. Eventually, they made contact, fostering understanding. This is the very same type of conditioning process we're experiencing right now. She insists, her eyes narrowing. Well, it wasn't completely ignored. It made its way into the newspapers several months after it happened. But what they did was lie. A classic bait and switch. The truth was obscured, leaving confusion in its wake. They altered the timeline, spinning a tale about airplanes and military planes dropping flares. But that wasn't where the events took place. As you said, there were numerous witnesses pointing to the wrong part of the sky at the wrong time. Yet, they got away with it, all because the press has failed to do its job, she argues, frustration simmering beneath her words. And something, religion has endured for thousands upon thousands of years. It's remarkably resilient. I doubt there's anything the extraterrestrials could reveal that would significantly diminish the religious observance across this planet, she adds, her voice steady yet reflective, as if contemplating the weight of belief itself. It's time for us to broaden our thinking and expand our understanding, she declares, her voice rising with urgency. There are patents for tunnel digging equipment that were developed years and years ago, massive tunnel boring machines capable of drilling through anything for vast distances in incredibly short periods. Those patents were indeed created, yet these machines supposedly never made it into production, but we know they might exist. Underground secret bases, otherwise known as DUMBs, deep underground military bases. Oh yes, they're real. I've seen the specifications and the photographs of those gigantic boring machines. The ones that can slice right through heavy rock, creating a tunnel large enough for an 18-wheeler to drive through in mere minutes. So yes, these bases absolutely exist now, What exactly these machines would be used for, if they'll ever be utilized, that's an entirely different question, she says, her brow furrowing. Corso touched only on one facet of it. The number of crafts has been in the hands of the U.S. government for decades, undergoing extensive study with billions of dollars allocated, primarily in underground facilities. There, they are attempting to reverse engineer technology to create, well, weapons and such. I visited a place called Nordhausen, a vast underground base where remnants of U-2 engines still linger. The Russians had carelessly placed some rocks there, leaving the technology from Peenemünde, the V2, V3, and V4 systems exposed. I genuinely believe that technology advanced so rapidly that there may have been assistance from some entities not of our world. There's been a considerable amount of chatter regarding mixed human-alien partnerships operating in some of these underground bases, such as the one reportedly located at Dulce, New Mexico. That's firmly tucked away in my file, I think to myself. I've heard enough to suggest there might be truth to it, yet I haven't encountered sufficient hard evidence to definitively declare, yes, that exists, and it's happening. It's one of those murky waters where we lack 100% certainty. We do have a plethora of evidence, alongside some first-hand and second-hand testimonies that hint at the existence of these underground facilities. We know they built them during the Cold War, in fact. We drove up to the Dulce base to capture some establishing shots. As we approached the Archuleta Mesa, where the base is situated, an unsettling realization washed over us. We were being followed. Concern crept in, and dread filled the air as we feared we might be stepping into something dangerous. So, we decided to make our retreat. The pressing question is, do we have underground facilities dedicated to the extraterrestrial phenomenon? And there is indeed evidence to support that claim. The relationship between drilling technologies and terrestrial advancements presents a fascinating and intricate puzzle. This became especially significant when Colonel Philip Corso published his book, Kai, the day after Roswell. In it, he states matter-of-factly that he was tasked, under General Trudeau at the Foreign Technology Desk, with disseminating some of the concepts gleaned from examining the Roswell craft. If we've truly recovered alien craft and have succeeded in reverse engineering their technology, then it's imperative that we keep this under wraps. The unfortunate consequence is that it hinders the advancement of collective human civilization, which brings us to a dire implication. If the United States government has indeed mastered this technology, its availability would revolutionize our planet, saving hundreds of millions of lives and addressing many of our most pressing issues. Every day that this truth embargo persists and that technology remains hidden, people are dying because of it. Their attitude seems to be, well, yes, some will perish, but we still desire another 20 years of secrecy. But who will you tell that to? The suffering masses? We know too much now. The truth is too exposed. The blood is on their hands as they pollute the environment and continue to let people die from cancer, all the while sitting on transformative energy that could cost us 1 cent on the dollar. Moreover, we have concrete evidence that we have in fact reverse-engineered anti-gravitic propulsion. We possess our own saucers. As our understanding of reality deepens, I firmly believe that what lacks scientific explanation today will become accepted as the norm in the future. When that occurs, it will irrevocably alter civilization at every level. For decades, we've harnessed anti-gravitic propulsion, yet this knowledge remains concealed from the public. Revealing it would end the truth embargo, necessitating that it stays hidden. The most critical question regarding ET technology is, have we mastered and even reverse-engineered the energy system that powers those crafts? So we're pretty certain it's not derived from oil, gas, or coal. In fact, our own physics suggests they've discovered how to tap into the ground state fields. If that's the case, it represents a paradigm shift of such magnitude that it's almost beyond description. What if they could cure cancer? What if they have the capability to cleanse our environment, alleviating pollution and aiding children suffering from respiratory and water-related issues? Imagine if they could help us restore this planet to the paradise it once was. We've been utilizing that wreckage to reverse engineer this incredible technology. I firmly believe we possess technology right now that far exceeds what the public even suspects. It's an intriguing thought given that we can fit the entire Library of Congress, every book within it, and more, into a device smaller than a laptop. Could extraterrestrials have the capacity to maintain vast archives regarding this planet? If so, we might one day have the opportunity to explore our ancient history through direct research, complete with visuals. Imagine being able to witness historical events from which we lack eyewitness accounts, whether it's Moses parting the Red Sea or any number of other significant moments. The possibilities are endless. Clean Martin, Betty, and Barney Hill were my aunt and uncle, the first Americans to go public with their harrowing tale of a UFO abduction that transpired in 1961. Betty and Barney reported that the beings showed a keen interest in their skeletal structure and nervous systems. They took skin samples, meticulously examining their hands, feet, eyes, ears, and mouths. We are vastly different from this particular race of Greys who abducted Betty and the Barney. I am convinced they had an agenda, a hybrid agenda. From my Aunt Betty's account, they inserted a needle into her navel, claiming it was a type of pregnancy test, while they took sperm from my Uncle Barney. This experience is not mere hearsay. I am a dedicated researcher who investigated their case over a span of 14 years. I wrote the book I Captured, The Betty and Barney Hill UFO Experience, with Stan Friedman contributing 2 chapters. Under hypnosis, they vividly recalled the craft landing on the ground and being compelled up a ramp onto that ship against their will. They described the interior of the craft in striking detail. The interior was unlike anything imaginable. There were pie-shaped rooms and wedge-shaped rooms. Betty and Barney were taken to separate examining rooms. In the room Betty was brought into, there was something akin to a dentist chair. She was initially placed in that chair before being moved to a table for further examination. Meanwhile, Barney never sat in that chair. He was placed directly upon a table. They recounted the stark nature of the interiors, detailing the cold clinical atmosphere of the room. They described the lighting, a bluish-white glow that seemed to envelop everything in an otherworldly hue. Betty and Barney were overwhelmed with terror, unsure if they would be carried away as specimens, or if they would even survive the encounter. Yet, the extraterrestrials telepathically conveyed their apologies for the fear they had instilled, reassuring them that harm would not come to them, and that they would be returned to their natural environment after a few tests. I was just 13 years old when this all unfolded, and my mother was Betty's younger sister. On the morning of September 20th, 1961, after they arrived home, I was in the room with my mother when Betty called her first. One reason for her call was that we had a neighbor who was a physicist, and Betty was anxious about potential radiation exposure. She wanted guidance. Strangely, the physicists advised her to take a compass out to the car to see how the needle reacted. Ironically, that doesn't measure radiation. It measures a magnetic field. When Betty approached the car, for the first time, she noticed shiny spots on the surface, each forming concentric circles, all identical in size. Holding the compass needle over those spots, she was astonished as the needle spun wildly. What's more, the dress Betty had worn on September 19th was in perfect condition when she put it on that very morning. However, when she returned home the next morning, she discovered a tear in the thick fabric of her zipper. The stitching had been compromised as well. Betty Hill's drawing of the infamous star map drew sharp scrutiny from astronomers and researchers, including the renowned Carl Sagan. Yet, years later, that drawing was verified as an accurate representation of the Zeta Reticuli system, effectively eliminating any suspicion of a hoax. Betty and Barney were extraordinary individuals. Betty served as a social worker for the state of New Hampshire, while Barney worked for the post office. In 1965, he was also appointed to the U.S. Civil Rights Commission on the New Hampshire State Advisory Committee, showcasing his commitment to social justice. They were champions of social and civil rights, truly having nothing to gain and everything to lose when their story became public following a breach of confidentiality in 1965. I'm Patty Greer, a crop circle researcher and filmmaker, and I've spent over the last decade exploring more than 100 crop circles. In the hush of night, usually around 3 a.m., I felt a connection with the mysterious circle makers. Entering a crop circle requires care. You step only into the tram lines, the tractor tire tracks, so as not to disturb the farmer's field. Observing this etiquette allows us to witness these wonders without leaving a mark. What I experience in the crop circles is an incredibly potent, enhanced electromagnetic field. Almost everyone can feel it, unless they are entirely insensitive or unwilling to engage. The fascinating part is that, as you approach, about 10 to 20 feet before entering, you can sense it. The hair on your arm stands on end, signaling your proximity. Stepping into a crop circle, your entire body ignites with energy from head to toe. There is no mistaking it. It's as undeniable as telling someone who has witnessed a spaceship that they didn't. So people say to me, I just respond, well, there you go. That's the essence of it. There was one scientist I know who went public, William Levengood. He is exceptionally renowned and even appears in the Guinness Book of World Records for publishing more scientific papers in journals than anyone else on the planet. He is the man who not only proved that crop circles are real, but that they originate from the Earth itself. Levengood discovered that these phenomena are caused by plasma balls of light that manifest in mere seconds, energized by spinning, counter-rotating vortices. It's science, clear and compelling when we understand they emerge from the ground. It makes perfect sense. Why would the Earth, our mother, be complaining? Well, we're fracking her, we're draining her lifeblood, and polluting her with toxins. For over 200 years, she has been trying to communicate these messages, and humanity's response has only gotten worse. Many critical messages are encoded in binary code, crafted for deciphering by mathematicians or computers. Some of the most significant binary codes reference historical events, like the infamous alien face and disk. It's noteworthy that this was located where 9/11 occurred. The encoded warning was beware the bearers of false gifts and their broken promises. Pain. But still time believe there is good out there. We oppose deception. Conduit closing. Crop circles are messages reaching us from the depths of the earth, from our extraterrestrial brothers and sisters. They are not merely real phenomena. The seeds within these circles can yield up to 400% more food, boasting an astonishing 75% increase in nutritional value per seed. Yet when corporations like Monsanto wield control over the government, they have no interest in allowing such a revolution in healthy food production. In the past year or two, the military has cracked down on farmers, instructing them not only to keep the curious away, but also to mow down the crop circles within the first day or two of their appearance. We always fly over to capture photographs, but when we return the next day, it's as if a bomb has exploded in the field. So, when we observe farmers destroying the fields, it's intriguing how often the circle makers return, crafting new patterns in the same field just the very next day. For 4 long years, my phone, my computer, everything I do has been an uphill battle, yet my response remains unmoved. I'm sorry for those trying to hinder progress because I refuse to stop. They actually emerge from the earth in pairs, spiraling up in these vortices, one rotating clockwise and the other counterclockwise. William Levengood proved this phenomenon as they ascend, spinning with purpose. They have already predetermined what they need from humanity. With their plasma energy and frequencies, they augment what Mother Earth has sent up. When these 3 frequencies converge, some do not originate from extraterrestrial sources at all. Rather, they are a blend of Earth energies, and some of those frequencies come from humans meditating. And that's when the circles manifest. The next day, I captured 3 of these phenomena in my films. They explode into stunning orbs of radiant orange light, the kind that all of us who do night watch have witnessed. In a mesmerizing display, these 2 plasma spheres communicate. And then, in an instant, that field collapses in mere seconds. The issue within the field now is that the well-known crop circle researchers remain ensnared in the data from the 1980s and 90s. It's disheartening that they refuse to engage with the groundbreaking work of William Levengood despite being aware of its importance. They continue to diminish his contributions, reflecting a troubling time in our history when funding is directed toward misinformation rather than genuine knowledge. The difference here is clear, and it's not that I consider myself anyone special. Yet, what truly ignites my passion is my connection with the circle makers, witnessing these occurrences that feel incredibly real and beautiful. This ongoing communication fills me with excitement. The fundamental conclusion is irrefutable. There is an extraterrestrial presence among us, and we must acknowledge it without delay. Once we do, you'll be astonished at how swiftly things begin to sort themselves out and resolve. Consequently, my belief is that we stand just an inch away from disclosure. I firmly believe they can no longer keep it under wraps. It's not merely about persuading the government to reveal the truth, it's about transcending their control entirely. There is substantial evidence suggesting that advanced civilizations, and potentially non-human entities, have inhabited our planet in the past. Some of them appear to be astronauts visiting from other worlds, wielding technology so sophisticated that it seems like magic to our eyes. My 1990s book, Alien Agenda, AK, began with the premise that UFOs are real entities, not figments of imagination or fictional tales. Today, I believe this stance is beyond dispute. It's time to bring the truth into the light, irrespective of what our government may believe. Once again, they have demonstrated that they are not always correct. It is imperative that we, as American citizens, push to expose this information to the public eye. Disclosure could realistically occur within the next 20 years, and I am fervently hoping it does, as it will transform everything for the better. In essence, we are confronting intelligently controlled extraterrestrial spacecraft visiting our planet. We are embroiled in a cosmic Watergate, a scandal of monumental proportions. There are no solid counter-arguments against these two conclusions, and yet we are witnessing the biggest story of the millennium being treated like a mere Alice's Tea Party, rather than acknowledging its true significance. A fabrication of the human mind. This is the greatest story never told if the truth is finally unveiled. How will it alter the human condition? We may soon discover the answer.